G'day, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Mindful Men podcast. I'm your host, Simon Rinnie, and today we're getting mindful about one of my absolute favorite subjects. It's dads and community as well. And joining me for this discussion today, I've got Stephen Hirst from North Brizzy. How you going, Stephen?
Good, thanks, Simon. Appreciate it, mate. Yeah, obviously it's my favourite topic as well, being your dad. So, mate, it should be an easy conversation, I imagine.
Absolutely. And to introduce you to the audience, you're the founder and CEO of Dad's Community. So we're going to be talking a lot about dads and
Yeah,
community today. But you're a dad of two as well. And your
yes.
mission is to create a community for dads that is safe, healthy, and non judgmental. So amazing vision for Dad's Community. But before we get into what the community is all about, I'd like to step it back a little bit and ask you, what does it mean to be a dad?
Great question, man. It's a privilege, and for me, as a dad, as a parent, whether you're a mum or dad, it's what gets you up in the morning to face those challenges ahead and push through. You got these little innocent kids that are born in this world, and they rely on their parents to try and be their best versions, their authentic selves as well. You're responsible for them as soon as they're born in this world. And they don't owe you anything, but you owe them everything, mate, because they had no choice.
So you've got two. What's their
Yeah.
ages and genders?
Yeah. So 7 and 5. Taylor's the girl, she's 7. And Kai's 5. He's my boy. And yeah, 2 kids, man. Blessed.
Yeah, wonderful. And thinking back to just before you became a dad, did you have an idea? Was it going to be a boy or a girl first? And what happened? Were you hoping for a boy first? A lot of guys tend to hope for the little man first. What was it like
Our
when Taylor
father's
came out?
yeah, it's exactly like that, mate, yeah, because my family have boys all through it, mate, so I just thought I was gonna have a boy, and when it was announced it was a girl, I was like, "Wow." Bit in shock, bit taken back, and all these things started going through my head going, "What do I do? Like, how do I hold space for a girl? What toilet can I take her into?" All the little things, but mate, what a blessing it is, man, like, to have a girl. Yeah, it's incredible, mate, very, very blessed. I would a man, you want your little boy, but it's what life throws at you, brother, and, yeah, it's those surprises that are the
Yeah. So when you had a little girl, did it change your perspective on anything?
Yeah, I guess for me, how much she gravitated towards me as a male and how much I gravitated towards her. Obviously, yeah, it's this natural protection or that you wanna protect your little girl a little bit more from the men in the world, I guess, because you're a man, you see men, you're a man yourself. We go through, we're not at our best as a young man. It's just this beautiful connection. Yeah, just authentic and natural that you have with your little girl. That is so much different to your boy, and they're beautiful in their both individual ways, man.
Yeah. And so what was it like when the boy came out the second time around? Were you relieved, happy?
Yeah. So look, the second time round, we decided to have a bit of surprise. We didn't want to sort of work out what it was beforehand. We sort of just wanted to go with the flow. And I just remember when he was born, obviously, and then he came out and there you go. He had a willy, mate. So I was like, this is incredible. It was just, yeah, obviously when your children are born, you're just overwhelmed and overcome with this flourish of emotion. It's just your tear, that energy coming through your body. There'll be nothing to that feeling and that emotion that will be that same intensity, brother. So yeah, it was beautiful. It was really cool to see and feel. Mm.
Yeah, and how did you cope through, I guess, those first few years? They're quite difficult. What was it like in those first few years around, like, support that you had available or just trying to figure things out? How did you manage through that?
Yeah, it was tough. So look, for me, yeah, the first couple of years was really difficult because obviously my wife at the time, she had all the support in the world. Everything's in place for the mum, which is understandable. She's the one going through it probably a lot more than what I am, but there's still had no support for myself. So everything just felt unnatural in terms of trying to be a dad and a parent, I guess. There's no blueprint at all. There's no processes to follow. You're getting occasional people trying to give you advice, but yeah, there's no support. So yeah, it was tough for me, I guess. The first thing I want to do is just make sure I'm protecting my kids and my family and giving my all. And yeah, that's just basically working my ass off and trying to provide that security for my kids. Being able to put these basics in place, the food, shelter, and all of that. But yeah, it was just when the kids are sick and you want to support your wife, and obviously you're struggling yourself at times, the lack of sleep, and yeah, it's full on, mate. Yeah, it's tough.
You mentioned there was a lot of supports are out there for mums, and rightly so.
Mm.
Did you find where were your supports during that time as well? I look around, and as a therapist myself, there's not many for dads, for guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot for mums and for kids, but yeah, what
Mm.
were your supports for being a dad going through that period as well?
Yeah, literally no support really. There's nothing for me, I guess, as men, as dads. It's hard to ask for help and support as well. So it does come back to us, and we need to take ownership from that end as well. It's like if we need help, we need to go and seek it. We need to ask, and it would be out there somewhere, surely somewhere in the community. But yeah, for me, I just obviously felt I need to take all this by myself, on board myself, mate. And there's nothing that just naturally comes your way and is offered because everyone else is tied up in their own life as well. And men don't generally check on each other as often as we should.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's some of the maybe the driver towards why you created Dad's Community as a community group. Before we
Yes.
get there, I'd love to learn a little bit more about the man behind Dad's Community and what were you doing beforehand and how has it kind of helped you transition into what you're doing now with the group?
Yeah, so what I was doing beforehand, mate, is I was in the corporate world. I was a team leader and trainer, assessor and coach in sort of the health industry as well. I was in there for 5, 6 years before that in banking as well. So always in that corporate world around KPIs and always been in sort of that leadership position as well. So I've got all these skills and all these tools. I was in doing stuff basically that I wasn't passionate about. So I was in there for quite some time. That was before Dad's Community. And then from there, you had the marriage separation. The wife had a pretty bad health scare, which is easy to talk about now, but wasn't back then. She had a brain tumor,
Mm.
a lot of pressure on our relationship. That was really struggling at the time. And that was probably from the effects of having two little children with not much support and not much communication happening either. So, which I'm sure a lot of parents can relate to. So, a lot happened in that time. And obviously, I was feeling unfulfilled in my job. And I realized I guess there's a little bit more I can do in life. And I just thought I'll just take a bit of leap of faith and burn the boats, as they say, and go all in, mate, and create a community for dads.
And so what is the community? Can you give us a bit of an idea about what it is and why do you felt like a Dad's Community was needed?
Yeah. So going back to what we're talking about, there was no support for men and dads. And it's probably a reason why we don't speak out and ask for help as well or speak about our feelings. Because soon as we do, it's either taken the wrong way by the other half, not in a bad way. It's just obviously we're biologically different as well. We think differently, and it's just really hard to speak up and be heard and speak your truth. And sometimes it's on our fault as well. We're not the most articulate blokes. There's a few blokes that are, we may say it the wrong way or however. But yeah, I just wanted a place where we could be heard, a safe space. One thing I noticed when I was in my marriage for a long while, and because of having kids and work and stuff, I was just so exhausted and overwhelmed. And I naturally, over time, started to isolate myself. And that probably, I don't like to label things, but it could have been depression, anxiety, or whatever. But these are forms of isolation, come out of isolation, I find. And human connection is so important. And being able to relate to other people that understand you, where you just feel natural in that environment more. So yeah, that's it, man. That's why there's a community now.
Can you take us through those first few steps of creating the group? What did it look like? What was your vision for it?
So I was still in my old job when I started it. I just thought I'd do an online page, I'll occasionally treat it as a hobby, do my thing. And it was getting a little bit of momentum and started had dads reach out, and I just realized, wow, okay, there's a little bit more I can do. But I found myself being split, energy being split. And as a bloke, as we all know, multitasking is difficult, and splitting that energy, you're only going to give half, half. And we sold our home through the marriage separation and had a little financial buffer on my end. So I was like, okay, that gave me that sort of relief that I can go and just give this a crack and make it work. And yeah, the first thing, online community, mate, that was the first step.
Yeah, and what was going through your mind? Were you terrified, scared, happy? What was the emotions going through your mind at the time?
Mate, of course, scared, petrified. I've been in the corporate world, in the system, as they say, for so long, and it's all I knew, where you get that weekly paycheck. And then I suddenly now have to provide for my kids as normal, but without that weekly paycheck. And the standard of living we all know is through the roof in terms of cost and being able to live comfortably. So there's so many challenges ahead of me. But if I wasn't going to take this leap now, mate, when everything was aligned, then when was I going to do it? It probably would have never happened otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah, and thinking back to those early days, what was the services you provide? And I guess for the community out there that's there now, what's going on at the moment in the dads community? What's on offer for guys that want to reach out and join?
Yeah, mate. Plenty on offer. So obviously it's that community support. That's one online where you've got men just opening up, being vulnerable and being heard. And then before you know it, they're getting support from other men and other dads that generally just want to give. They don't want to receive or expect anything out of it. They just want to give, which is great. And then from there, we do the in-person events. So we do the Friday meetup, which is great. We're doing now a men's school monthly. We also do a day of walk, a morning walk, where we grab a coffee and walk around Lake Eden in North Lakes, which is really cool. And then we also do a family day catch up where we just partners can come along with their kids and they can see the community for what it is and how healthy it is as well. And that's what's on offer. But obviously, my passion is mentoring and coaching dads through all these things. So utilizing my skills in the corporate world and just channeling it straight into them and making a massive impact, which is happening as we speak. So I'm generally got about 7 to 10 dads that I'm working with and just putting my energy into that world and trying to, I guess, believe in them because there's no one that really truly says they believe in us or behind us. And I see the potential in these men because I've been there and I am in a great place now. And these men can be in that great place now as well. And then that overflows in their beautiful kids and their partners if they're married or one day a future relationship as well.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a bit more about the coaching. What does coaching involve in
Mm.
dads community? Can you talk us through what a coaching program looks like with you?
So how it looks for me, firstly, is I just get an understanding of them. So I generally have a good background of their challenges as a dad, as a man in this world, whether it's work, relationships with their partner, their kids, more importantly with themselves. And then we first work on that, just trying to build their confidence up a little bit. I will set minor goals in place, just little one percenters to start building things up, to start seeing things change. And then people in their world will start commenting on that as well. And then that confidence starts going up a little bit. I'll make them accountable to certain things as well. So those goals and tasks and challenges, but also more importantly, their words as well, their language that they're using. And that could be language that they're using towards me about themselves or their partner or their kids, their employees, their boss, whatever it may be. But just catching them out, making sure that they're aware of how powerful words can be and making them see little things differently. Also providing, I guess, letting them know what resources they can get as well. So if I realize they need professional help as well, they trust me to encourage them to go and get that as well. I think that's important from that therapy side of things. But for me, it's mainly just holding that space at the start and listening to these men because it's the first time they had another man listen to them. And I pretty much know what majority have gone through because we all relate pretty well. We can have the same emotions, the same challenges, but just being heard, I think, more than anything. And that saves space. And then over time, we set those goals, those challenges, make it accountable, and then slightly push them forward within weeks and months. Their life is completely different, mate.
I love that 1% notion. It's around almost like compound interest. If we can do 1% better every day, then by the end of the year, we've done huge progress in our personal lives, our emotional well-being, our mental health, physical health as well, financial health. It spreads throughout all of our being. And it's such a great, I think, a great tool and so easy to remember. It's just 1% better every single day. And I really love that about that. But I'm keen to hear about your men's circle. I know you had your first men's circle over the past weekend. Now, we are recording in May for when this drops. How was
Mm.
that? How did guys take on board the men's circle? What were some of the things coming up? And where to next for the men's circle, for
Yes,
example?
I've been envisioning this men's circle so long. So when I first started, I would drop little polls in the community, see what their thoughts are, maybe try and put an event out there. But there wasn't much engagement at the start. And I knew that probably would be the case. And I knew that I probably had to build that sort of one trust, but also try and normalize what is a men's circle, what is it all about. And yeah, once obviously that took a while, months and months and months. But then I thought, no, it's the perfect time. I've been talking about certain things about communication constantly and what a healthy man looks like and breath work and being in nature and just all these healthy things I've been talking about for so long. And I thought I'd drop it in an event and straight away there would have been at least 10 to 15 men. And there was probably more men as well that were super keen at the time, but other things come up. There could be real genuine excuses and reasons, or they might be they're a bit scared, whatever it may be, which is understandable. But yeah, it was really successful. The first one, we just did a nice little introduction, talked about our purpose and why we do it, set the scene, nice setting. And yeah, we just really just did the breath work, just a nice general entry breath work, and talked about how it helps, then asked anyone if they got a situation they would like to use it in and how powerful it would be in their situation. And men started opening up. It was just beautiful. We had some men with obviously opening up and releasing themselves with tears and emotions. And each man was there for them, which is really good. So it's so safe. And we just talked about our challenges. I talked about mine, and the Will who was doing the breath work was talking about his situation, which is really good. How breath work had overcome his addictions in life and helps him regulate, and it was just really great. It was a great experience. Then we went for a walk around the lake and chatted. Then, yeah, we just had a quick feed at the end, and yeah, it was only over 2 hours, and we'll be doing that at least monthly, which is great, and just coming together and just building that basically, what is a man? What's a healthy man? I just wanna normalize that a bit.
I'm keen. I'm one of those ones who were keen, and then soccer gets in the way. My little son plays soccer on Saturday mornings. So maybe when he's got a game off, I'll be down to the men's circle, 'cause I think it's such a valuable tool to connect. You touched on something there around guys might be being a bit scared to come along and do some of
Mm,
that. I'm part of the Facebook group as well. It's an amazing Facebook group where
thanks.
words are so positive, and it is a safe and non-judgmental Facebook group, because we've talked before around I've been part of other dads communities
Mm,
online, and it can be very bitchy, it can be very
oh,
aggro,
yeah.
very toxic, whereas the dads community is the complete opposite, and I think it's so warming, and you often see guys in there, particularly for the Friday night catch up that you do with
Mm,
afternoon barbecue, and they often say in the group, "Oh, I've been meaning to come, I've been wanting to come, I'm a bit anxious to come," but then when they do, the support
mm.
around that is such a fantastic vibe that you've got going. How did you foster that kind of, I guess, energy, and then also keep bringing your energy to that so it keeps being positive and supportive as well?
Yeah, I guess being the leader of the community, I've got to lead by example. I've been where these men have been. Like, I would have never dared to go to a group of men and hang out that I didn't know back in the day. And I say that I was scared. I was anxious about that sort of stuff. I would never have gone, mate. And my ego was completely in the way of those things. And that's probably a major reason why my marriage didn't, work out. And I will own that part. And then now I'm running these things, man. But it's obviously leaning in the front, being vulnerable, saying I was that man. And now look at me now. It is possible. And then also when these meetups do happen, obviously you can see these men from a mile away when they show up. They're looking around, their heads down. You can just see it. And I just love it. I just go up and say, "G'day." It's not just me, it's other dads that will notice it too now because they're that person only last week or 2 weeks ago. And yeah, these men, mate, it takes one in the group to say something, and then they're, "Oh, wow, I'm not alone. This is actually what they're going through is quite normal." And I think all we want to feel is we're not alone in this world and we are normal in what we're thinking and what we're doing and what is happening in our life. And I think so many men, once what I find the most beautiful thing is I always try and capture a moment where I just like to step away from the group and just look at it from afar and just see the connections being made. And they're all hovering around each other and just talking or listening and holding space for each other, and all credit to them, which is incredible. So it's beautiful, man. And then I just obviously talk about it after. And then it's just showing up every single time. Like I said, I'm always going to be there. If there's one person or 50 people, I'll be there every Friday just to know that there's a dad waiting for them and holding that space for them. And now there's other dads doing the same for them, mate.
No, it got me thinking about this concept around isolation. And I've
Mm,
been doing an online 6-week webinar series on men's mental health. And it happens that this week is around community and isolation, the importance of community. So you're thinking about community, and your dad is a community of guys around, and you've got what, 1,900 in the Facebook group roughly.
yeah, I'm waiting for that tick over 2,000.
So if you listen to this, get onto the Facebook group and sign up. And through the, I guess, through the Facebook group, I see other dads coming on as admins and taking charge. You've got the guy that does the walks and stuff like that, and it shines through. And even some of the comments as well. It's not just you commenting on behalf
Mm,
of dad's community. It's some of those other admins as well doing some of the work, and you're building these group of guys who are coming to the call of arms as well. And that must make you feel really proud to be creating this community for guys who would have otherwise, yeah, had nothing to turn to.
yeah, correct, mate. Like I said, we're all leaders. We've all got that potential within us. Someone just needs to give them that opportunity. And these other admin people we're talking about, these are dads I actually mentor. Now, I didn't ask them to be an admin. They just offered their services. So they must have found that inner belief within them. And then they were like, I'm confident enough to be able to serve and hold space. And then they're doing that and they're doing a great job and they're commenting and they're doing little things to lead as well. So it is incredible.
And you mentioned the word serve there, and we often, when we get together, you talk around that you're here to serve other dads and stuff like that. But you also said before that historically you wouldn't have got together with a men's group and shared some of this stuff. So where does this fire come from for you to start sharing and start to guess show your vulnerable state and help guys through their periods of struggle?
Yeah, correct, mate. Couple of reasons. Obviously, sometimes you really have to hit rock bottom. Now, my rock bottom was marriage separation, the kid's mum having a brain tumor, thinking she's not going to be around for kids. So those massive shifts internally and how I guess I look at it now, it's what's happened for me, and obviously not to me. People think a marriage separation would be the end of the world. Yeah, at the time it was. The brain tumor at the time it was. But just I hit rock bottom at those moments and I just realized I was talking about it before, these two little beautiful kids, they would have been 3 and 2 at the time, man. And
Mm.
like I said, we owe them everything. They owe us nothing and we're responsible for them. And for me, straight away, I just knew that far out, I need to be a better man and a better dad and a better human being. So for me, yeah, it was then the one percenters from there, mate, that we're talking about showing up every day and just having that. The one percenters is where discipline is applied. You can do massive actions, which I've done, and that's the ones that take the big leap at risk. But it's those one percenters that build up to those massive actions and the discipline that's involved in those one percenters. When you don't want to do it, you just get up and do it. And that's where the fire is, man. I just look at those kids, man, and yeah, I just want them to be around such a healthy environment. And to be honest, if my wife and I were together under the one household, the environment probably wouldn't be so great. So it's what's happened for me and for the kids, and we're such better parents for it. And they get the best of us individually now. I look at my kids and they're flourishing. They're the best students. They're the best people, the best leaders. They're just the kindest human beings, most giving and generous and kind. They're just so loving. So they're just flourishing. And that is literally from their mum and I and the actions we've taken. So it's good now.
Yeah, and my kids often say, because I'm mindful man, and they always walk around with the mindful men gear, and they say, "I'm a mindful man too," and all this stuff. Even my 3-year-old daughter, she's a mindful man, and she loves it. How have your kids responded to the dad's community? Do they absolutely love it? Do they give you a bit of energy as well?
Yeah, look, they love it at times, they don't love it at times. What it is they love it in the fact that my daughter will do drawings of the dad van, which is awesome, and you can see how proud they are seeing their dad lead a group of men when we're there and stuff, and then they get to connect with other kids on those events, and they're absolutely loving it. But also they can see how passionate I am about it, and, you know, at times my energy gets divided between the community and them. And they're like, "Oh, not dad's community again, these little smart asses," but it's all for the good, all for the greater. And yeah, but yeah, they do love it as much as I do. So yeah, pretty stoked.
And so what's next for dad's community? Have you got some plans that you can share, or you got some other projects
Yeah.
that you're working on that you'd like to share?
So my passion is non for profit and that will allow more resources, more opportunities for these dads, these men. And I'm pretty close to getting that finalized, which is great. Yes, it's been costly for me and a lot of paperwork, and it's not easy, but it's going to be worth it because this thing's going to be around forever. And one day someone's going to step in and take over for me as well. So that's the next big project, is getting that. And then I want to do fundraising and get the men out there more and create a spotlight for these men to shine in through this non-for-profit process. And eventually I want to do proper retreats as well. We've discussed that, doing retreats and just getting out and just getting some major impact on these men over a couple of days and doing certain things. So yeah, there's a million things that the opportunities are there. It's just obviously up to instill and do things properly first. People obviously ask, can we open one up at this suburb, this town, this city? I would love to. But I guess for men, and this is the number one thing for me, is just being available and being consistent. And obviously it's my passion project. It's my baby. So in that aspect is, I guess there's other dads they've got other things in their life going on and stuff like that, and their families, and they've got to support. So being as available as I am isn't as easy as it may seem. So I just want to do it properly. Never want to let down another man in another space. May do at times because we're only human, but yeah, just want to do it properly, mate.
Yeah, you mentioned other dads asking you to open up in other areas as well. It's obviously getting a bit of traction outside of the North Brisbane area.
Yes, definitely, mate. Everywhere. It's all across Queensland. The opportunity's there, but we just got to remember this community is 9 months old, mate. 9 to 12 months old, and a lot of the first teeny part of that was just a hobby, really. But the only reason it's flourished is going full time. It's a job. If it was a hobby, mate, it would be 400 members and occasionally just another Facebook group. So I just can't wait to see in another 12 months where this beautiful community will be, for sure.
Well, it is an amazing community, and I'll put the link to access the community in the show notes. But yeah, can you plug how people find you? Are you all over social media? Where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, mate. So for me, best place to find me is obviously on Facebook. Just type in Dad's Community, you'll see it right away. That's probably the best place to find. But you can look up myself personally as well, Stephen Charlie Hirst on Facebook or Instagram. I'll be there. Shoot me a message, and I'll be happy to answer it, mate. So they're the platforms that you'll find me. But also you'll find us at Petrie at the Mill Water Park on a Friday. Every Friday between 4 and 7 p.m. You won't miss us. There'll be these black shirts everywhere. We look like a little bit of a cold, I think, more than it. Bit of a laugh, but I love it. And it gives me such pride when I see the shirts. And also the weekends, those Saturdays where we do those walks around the lake, etc. But all details will be in the community.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
you
for
can,
idea.
if you're on the road, the Dad's van is becoming a
Right.
bit of an icon in itself. You're seeing photos of it everywhere. It's amazing to see.
They have a little game sometimes. They play Spotto, and it's a good laugh, mate. I get these thumbs up, and honestly, bro, we are pulled up everywhere. So it's incredible. I did feel when I first got the van, I did have that imposter syndrome where it just didn't feel comfortable. This is just too not real for me, and am I worthy of it, and all these things. But we are worthy of these things, and it's not just me; it's other men with other things they're doing. So you just got to sort of step into it and own it. And yeah, but I know us dads, as men, even as dads, there's that imposter syndrome there, especially in the first couple of years as a parent. It was for me too. It's like I didn't feel like a dad within that first couple of years. It was just weird. It just didn't feel right. I just didn't feel mature enough to be a dad.
I
But
completely understand. It is an adjustment to go from that, and particularly when, for me growing up, I didn't have young kids around me at all, so I didn't know what it was like. Whereas my wife, she had a big extended family of lots of kids, so it was normal for her. But when the first time I held a baby, I'm like, "What?" And my own kids, like, "What do I do? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to break this thing," and it messes with your head a little bit.
100%, you get in your head all the time. You give meaning to thoughts, and yeah. But at the end of the day, you're a dad, and you can only be the best dad you can be, and be kind to yourself and learn from things, and just remember what's happened, these experiences, what happens for you to learn from and grow from, and not to you as a victim. So yeah, no, it's incredible, brother. It's a privilege to be a dad.
Yeah, and it's a privilege to be part of the community as well. I love jumping on the Facebook group and helping out wherever I can with a
Yeah,
comment or a like, or even catching up with a coffee with you as well. Absolutely love it. And I love what you're doing. So thanks for coming on and sharing a bit about the dads
thanks, mate.
community.
Yeah.
But the last thing I like to let all my guests do is plug something that makes them feel good. So this is a pay it forward moment where you get to plug something that you're watching or listening to or reading or an activity you're doing. So maybe a dad out there is listening and go, oh, yeah, I might try that out for myself. And this could be my 1%er for today.
That's a really good one, man. You just got to do something for you. Don't feel the guilt around it. Sometimes we make ourselves feel guilty for doing these things. Now, I actually did it this morning. I said it within the group of my 7 a.m. life. And I just said Mondays are not what we look forward to sometimes, but you need to find the beauty in the day. Now, sometimes you actually need to find it. You need to seek it. So that could be just getting your little coffee, sitting back, sipping on every sip and going, and actually in gratitude that you can afford to buy coffee. You bought yourself coffee. Yeah. It could be just going out and smiling at someone and just receiving that smile back, or receiving a compliment from someone as well and actually owning it and going, hey, that person went out of their way to compliment me. So, or compliment someone else. So it's those things. That's a little, I guess, gift I can say out there, mate, is yeah, just do something for you and makes you feel great.
Yeah, I love it. It's that gratitude, and gratitude is a quite a mindful technique, and always plugging it with my clients and the people that I work with as well. So thanks for sharing that.
You
But
know what?
Stephen, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing about Dad's community. Love seeing your growth here in this space, and we're on a similar trajectory with what we're both doing. So it's great to
Yep.
have someone else in my corner as well, cheering me on. So thanks for everything, your support, but also what you do for the guys out there. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, mate. Thanks so much, legend.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure that you like it and leave a comment, and then share it with your mates. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a moment of future episodes to come.